This audiobook reveals the ancient secret of the backwards law. When you chase, desires slip away, but when you surrender, life flows to you. Discover how letting go becomes the key to receiving everything you've ever wanted. The Backwards Law. Introduction. In the depths of ancient wisdom lies a truth so startling, it challenges everything you believe about achievement and success. This truth, whispered through the corridors of time, reveals that your very pursuit of desires may be what keeps them at bay. Think of water. When you grasp at it, it slips through your fingers. Yet when your palm lies open and still, it can hold the water with ease. This is the essence of the backwards law, a principle so fundamental to the universe that its simplicity has been obscured by centuries of misguided thinking. You have been taught that to receive, you must chase. To achieve, you must struggle. To succeed, you must fight. Yet these very actions create resistance in the universal flow of abundance. The harder you push, the more the universe pushes back, maintaining perfect equilibrium in its cosmic dance. The masters of manifestation understood this paradox. They knew that true power lies not in forcing, but in allowing. Not in pursuing, but in becoming magnetic. Not in demanding, but in surrendering to the infinite wisdom of the universe. When you release your white-knuckled grip on your desires, something miraculous happens. The very things you've been chasing begin to chase you. Opportunities that seemed distant now appear at your doorstep. Abundance that felt scarce now flows freely into your life. This is not magic, it is natural law. Just as a flower doesn't strain to bloom, and a river doesn't force its way to the ocean, your desires need not be wrestled into existence. They simply need to be allowed. The backwards law reveals that your power lies not in doing, but in being. Not in seeking, but in knowing. Not in wanting, but in having. This subtle shift in consciousness, from desperate pursuit to calm allowing, is the key that unlocks the universe's infinite abundance. You stand now at the threshold of this ancient wisdom. The path before you requires no effort, only awareness. No struggle, only surrender. No force, only flow. Part 1. Awakening to the Backwards Law, Dismantling Illusion.
So Anthony, I hear you've created something called
The True Nature of Manifestation. Chapter 1. The Law That Was Hidden in Plain Sight. In the quiet corners of a bustling city lived Henry, a painter whose brushstrokes carried dreams of recognition. For 15 years, he knocked on gallery doors, sent countless portfolios, and chased every opportunity with desperate determination. Yet the more he pursued acclaim, the more it seemed to slip through his fingers like grains of sand. Then one winter morning, exhausted from the endless pursuit, Henry did something unexpected. He surrendered. "I paint because I must," he whispered to his empty studio. "Not because I seek approval." In that moment of release, something shifted in the universe. Within weeks, a prominent collector happened upon his work in a small cafe, where Henry had casually displayed his pieces. The recognition he had chased for so long now chased him. This universal principle operates with unwavering precision. When you grasp tightly at what you desire, you create resistance. The very energy of wanting pushes away that which you seek. It is like trying to catch your own shadow. The faster you run, the faster it flees. The ancient masters understood this divine paradox. They knew that the universe responds not to force, but to alignment, not to desperation, but to allowance. The quantum field itself, the very fabric of reality, reacts to your energetic state. When you release the energy of seeking, you become open to receiving. Margaret's story mirrors this truth. For 20 years, she searched for love with an intensity that left no room for it to enter naturally. Every date became an interview. Every interaction waited with expectation. It was only when she found peace in her solitude, when she released her grip on the need for partnership, that love found its way to her door. 3 men began pursuing her within months of her letting go. The universe operates through paradox. What you chase runs away. What you allow flows towards you. This is not merely spiritual wisdom. It is a fundamental law of energy and consciousness. When you stop trying to force the river of life to flow in your direction, you discover you've been standing in your own stream all along. Now, as you absorb this wisdom, you are invited to practice the art of release. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Bring to mind something you have been chasing: success, love, abundance, recognition. Feel the tension in your energy field around this desire. Now, imagine opening your hands and releasing this pursuit into the universe. Breathe deeply as you say, "I release my desperate need for this outcome. I trust in divine timing. What is meant for me cannot miss me." Repeat this practice daily, watching as the universe responds to your surrender with unexpected gifts. Chapter 2: The Great Paradox. In the heart of a bustling metropolis, James toiled endlessly in his pursuit of wealth. Each morning, he rose before dawn, his mind already racing with schemes and strategies. He attended every business seminar, read every success manual, and worked 16-hour days until exhaustion clouded his vision. Yet despite his relentless efforts, financial success remained elusive, slipping through his fingers like morning mist. You see, James embodied a truth that lies at the core of all manifestation. The more desperately you chase, the faster your desires flee from you. His struggle was not unique, but rather a reflection of humanity's deepest misconception about success. The universe operates through the law of least effort. Look to nature. Flowers do not strain to bloom. Rivers do not force their flow to the ocean. They simply allow their natural state to unfold. This principle echoes through quantum physics, where observation alone alters reality, and through ancient Eastern wisdom, which teaches that Wu Wei, non-doing, is the...
At Plott College, it's...
When James finally collapsed from exhaustion one evening, something extraordinary occurred. In his surrender, he discovered a profound truth. His striving had been creating resistance to the very abundance he sought. The moment he released his death grip on success, the universe began conspiring in his favor. A chance meeting led to an effortless partnership, and within months, wealth flowed into his life with graceful ease. This principle manifested similarly in Eleanor's journey. As a writer, she had battled writer's block for years, forcing words onto empty chapters. Her creativity withered under the weight of her expectations until one day she stopped trying to write altogether. She began taking long walks, letting her mind wander freely. To her amazement, stories began flowing through her naturally, as if they had been waiting for her to step out of their way. You see, struggle is not a prerequisite for success. It is the very obstacle that prevents it. When you release the need to control every outcome, you align with the natural flow of universal abundance. This is not passive resignation, but rather active allowance, a state of receptive awareness that attracts rather than pursues. Consider the ocean. You cannot grasp water by clutching at it. Open your palm and it pools naturally in your hand. This is the way of manifesting all desires. The universe responds not to your effort, but to your state of being. The ancient practice of letting go begins with a simple breath. Find a quiet space where you can sit undisturbed. Close your eyes and bring awareness to any area of your life where you have been striving. Feel the tension of effort in your body. Now, with each exhale, release that tension. Imagine your desires as leaves floating on a stream. You need not chase them, for the current naturally brings them to you. Chapter 3. The Illusion of Control. In the heart of a great city lived a merchant named David, whose hands gripped life so tightly that joy slipped endlessly through his fingers. Each morning, he would meticulously plan every minute of his day, attempting to orchestrate each interaction, each outcome, each moment with precise detail. Yet the more he tried to control his world, the more it seemed to spiral into chaos. You have known this feeling, the tightening in your chest when life refuses to follow your carefully laid plans. Like David, you may have discovered that the harder you try to direct the river of life, the more it rebels against your will. The universe operates through a divine paradox. That which you attempt to control ultimately controls you. When you grasp at happiness, it becomes as elusive as trying to hold water in a clenched fist. When you attempt to force life into your desired shape, you only succeed in distorting its natural beauty. Martha's tale mirrors this truth. For decades, she constructed walls of protection around her heart, carefully screening potential partners through endless lists of requirements. She monitored her relationships with vigilance, always ready to detect the smallest sign of threat. Yet love remained a distant dream until the day she realized her very protection had become her prison. In her surrender came salvation. When Martha finally released her grip on finding love, when she allowed life to unfold in its own perfect timing, everything changed. She discovered that security wasn't found in control, but in trust. Trust in the natural flow of life. Trust in the wisdom of the universe. Trust in her own inner guidance. This ancient wisdom speaks to you now. All that you seek is seeking you, but it cannot enter through closed doors. Your desire to control is born of fear, yet fear itself is the only thing blocking your path to freedom. To begin releasing control's grip on your life, practice this sacred ritual of trust. Each morning, identify one small aspect of your day that you typically try to control. It might be your commute to work, a conversation with a colleague, or even the weather's impact on your plans. Make a conscious choice to release your grip on this one thing, allowing it to unfold naturally. Notice how life flows more smoothly when you step out of its way. As you practice this gentle art of letting go, you'll discover that what you've been seeking was never meant to be captured, only allowed. Chapter 4. The Magnetic Power of Stillness. In the bustling heart of commerce, Frederick paced his office late into the night, surrounded by scattered papers and endless to-do lists. His mind raced with solutions, each one more complex than the last, yet success remained tantalizingly out of reach. The harder he pushed, the more his business seemed to resist his efforts. You too have felt this restless drive, the constant need to act, to solve, to force your way forward. Yet within this ceaseless motion lies the very barrier to your success. The ancient masters understood a truth that modern society has forgotten. Power resides not in endless action, but in sacred stillness. When you cease the eternal doing and enter the realm of being, you tap into the infinite intelligence that governs all creation. This is not mere idleness, but rather a state of heightened receptivity, where solutions emerge naturally, like flowers blooming in their own perfect time. In quantum physics, particles exist in multiple states until observed. a phenomenon that mirrors the spiritual truth that possibilities remain fluid until consciousness engages them through focused attention. Your constant movement, your relentless seeking actually collapses these infinite possibilities into limited outcomes. Clara discovered this wisdom through her own journey. As a renowned musician, she had always believed that mastery came through endless practice and forceful repetition. Yet her breakthrough arrived only when she learned to listen to the silence between the notes. In stillness, she found the music that had always existed within her, waiting to be expressed. This principle extends beyond the realm of art into every aspect of existence. The universe speaks in whispers, not shouts. Its guidance comes not in the whirlwind of activity, but in moments of quiet receptivity. When you learn to be still, you align with the natural rhythm of creation itself. To access this transformative power, embrace this ancient practice of stillness. Each day, create a sacred space of silence. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably and allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. Don't try to empty your mind. Simply observe your thoughts without engaging them, like watching clouds pass across the sky. Begin with 5 minutes and gradually extend this time as you become comfortable with stillness. In these quiet moments, hold your desires lightly in your consciousness, not as desperate wishes, but as seeds already planted in fertile soil. Trust that in this stillness, you become a magnet for divine inspiration and effortless manifestation. Remember, the universe's most powerful forces, gravity, electricity, magnetism, operate in complete silence. Your own power emerges not from
If you have a 700 plus,
but from who you become in moments of sacred stillness. Chapter 5: Why You Must Lose Yourself to Find Everything. In the heart of a bustling metropolis, Robert stood before his bathroom mirror, surrounded by self-help books, affirmations taped to every surface, and an endless list of habits he needed to develop. Each morning he would scrutinize himself, searching for flaws to fix, qualities to enhance, and aspects of himself to improve. Yet with each new technique mastered, each habit formed, each affirmation repeated, he felt increasingly hollow. You have walked this path too, the endless journey of self-improvement that paradoxically leads you further from your true essence. The ancient wisdom traditions speak of a profound truth. Your relentless pursuit of becoming better is the very veil that obscures your innate perfection. The universe operates through a principle of wholeness, not fragmentation. When you constantly seek to improve yourself, you unconsciously affirm that you are incomplete, broken, insufficient. This belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, creating an endless cycle of seeking that can never be satisfied. True transformation occurs not through addition but through subtraction. It is not about becoming something new, but rather about removing the layers of false identity that conceal your authentic nature. Like a sculptor who reveals the masterpiece by removing excess stone, your path to power lies in releasing what is not truly you. Edna, a gifted musician, spent years trying to become what she thought a great artist should be. She studied countless techniques, mimicked famous performers, and forced herself into a mold of perfection. Yet her breakthrough came only when she stopped trying to become anything at all. In letting go of her carefully constructed identity, she discovered a voice that had always existed within her, pure, authentic, and completely original. This truth extends beyond artistry into every dimension of life. The more you try to fix yourself, the more you reinforce the illusion that you are broken. The more you strive to become something, the further you drift from who you truly are. To access your authentic power, practice this ancient ritual of identity release. Find a quiet space and close your eyes. Bring to mind all the labels you've attached to yourself, all the things you think you should be or become. Now, one by one, let them dissolve like morning mist in the sun. Feel the lightness that comes with each release. Watch as each identity falls away. Achiever, striver, seeker, broken, incomplete. Don't rush to fill the space left behind. Simply rest in the awareness that remains when all labels are gone. In this space of pure being, you'll discover that what you've been seeking has been present all along. Your true power lies not in becoming, but in being, not in adding, but in releasing, not in fixing, but in recognizing the perfection that has always been your natural state. Chapter 6, The Observer's Power. In the hallowed halls of a prestigious research institution, Charles peered through his microscope, observing quantum particles. Day after day, he noticed something extraordinary. These particles altered their behavior. This revelation shook the very foundation of his scientific understanding, leading him to an ancient truth that mystics had known for millennia. You stand at the threshold of this same discovery. Just as Charles found that observation changes reality at the quantum level, you too possess this transformative power of awareness. When you step back and become the witness to your thoughts and emotions rather than being entangled within them, you initiate a profound shift in your reality. The universe responds not to what you think, but to your relationship with those thoughts. When you merge completely with a negative thought pattern, you become that pattern. But when you create space between yourself and your thoughts, you activate your power as the observer, the consciousness behind all experience. This principle extends far beyond the laboratory. Your thoughts are energy in motion, waves of possibility until observed. By learning to watch them with detachment, you collapse these waves into the reality of your choosing. This is not mere theory, it is the practical application of both quantum mechanics and timeless spiritual wisdom. Beatrice discovered this truth during her darkest hour. Consumed by anxiety and fear, she had always been at the mercy of her emotional storms. Then she learned the art of witnessing. Instead of saying, "I am anxious," she learned to observe, "There is anxiety present." This subtle shift created a space between her true self and the temporary weather of her emotional state. In that space, she found freedom. As she mastered this practice of detached observation, her reality began to transform. The emotions that once overwhelmed her became passing clouds in the vast sky of her awareness. She discovered that she was not her thoughts, not her emotions, but the eternal witness to all these temporary phenomena. To access this power of the observer, practice this ancient technique. When a negative thought or emotion arises, don't fight it or try to change it. Instead, step back into the position of the witness. Notice the thought or feeling as if watching it on a screen. Say to yourself, "I observe this thought," rather than "this is my thought." Feel the space between your awareness and the thought itself. Rest in that space. Notice how the thought begins to lose its grip when you're no longer identified with it. This is the power of detached observation, the same power that changes reality at the quantum level, now working through your consciousness to transform your life. Chapter 7, The Secret Force That Pulls Reality to You. In the bustling marketplace of the city, Arthur stood behind his counter watching potential customers pass by. For years, he had mastered every sales technique, memorized countless scripts, and perfected his pitch. Yet success remained elusive. Each day became an exhausting performance of trying to convince people to buy, until one remarkable morning when everything changed. You see, Arthur had fallen ill that day. Too weak to maintain his usual enthusiastic approach, he simply stood quietly, offering genuine smiles to those who caught his eye. To his astonishment, more people stopped at his stand than ever before. Without the pressure of his sales tactics, customers felt drawn to his authentic presence. They lingered longer, asked questions, and purchased more than when he had tried to sell. This principle governs all aspects of life. The law of reverse effort reveals that the more you chase, the more life resists. When you release the need to make things happen, you align with the natural flow of universal energy. This is not passive resignation, but active allowing, a state of receptive awareness that magnetizes your desires to you. Think of water. When you grasp at it, it slips through your fingers. When you open your palm, it pools naturally. This same principle applies to success, abundance, and relationships. The universe responds not to your effort, but to your state of being. Dorothy understood this truth only after years of searching for love. She had attended every social gathering, joined countless dating services, and crafted the perfect profile. Yet genuine connection eluded her. It wasn't until she stopped searching, truly stopped, that everything shifted. During a quiet afternoon when she had finally made peace with being alone, she met someone who would change her life. Without the energy of seeking, she had become findable. Now it is time for you to experience this truth directly. For the next 7 days, practice the art of non-pursuit. Choose one area of your life where you've been pushing hard for results. It might be in your career, relationships, or personal goals. Instead of trying to make things happen, shift into a state of allowing. Begin each morning by acknowledging your desires, then consciously releasing the need to chase them. Throughout the day, when you notice yourself forcing or pursuing, gently return to a state of receptive awareness. Notice how different this feels from your usual approach. Pay attention to what happens when you stop trying to make things happen and instead allow them to unfold naturally. Remember, this is not about giving up on your desires. It is about aligning with the natural law that governs all achievement. Just as Arthur discovered in his sales and Dorothy in her relationships, the moment you cease pursuing is often the moment your desires begin pursuing you. Chapter 8. The Paradox of Wanting Nothing Yet Receiving Everything. In the quiet halls of a prestigious university, Herbert clutched his research papers with trembling hands. For 15 years, he had pursued academic recognition, publishing paper after paper, desperately seeking acknowledgement from his peers. Each morning he would wake with a gnawing emptiness, checking citation indexes and refreshing his email, hoping for invitations to speak at conferences. You have known this feeling, the constant craving that consumes your thoughts, leaving you unable to appreciate the present moment. Like Herbert, you may have discovered that desire itself becomes a prison, its walls built from endless wanting. The ancient masters spoke of this truth. Attachment is the root of suffering. Yet they did not mean you should abandon your dreams. Rather, they taught that true manifestation occurs in the space between wanting and releasing. When Herbert finally understood this wisdom, everything changed. One evening, after another rejection letter, he placed all his papers in a drawer and walked away. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to simply exist without the burden of proving his worth. He began teaching his students not for recognition, but for the pure joy of sharing knowledge. Within months, something extraordinary occurred. His previous work began receiving attention. Colleagues sought his insights. Speaking invitations arrived unsolicited. The very recognition he had craved now flowed effortlessly, not because he had changed his actions, but because he had transformed his energy. This principle operates through a subtle mechanism of consciousness. When you crave something intensely, you broadcast a frequency of lack to the universe. This frequency repels the very things you desire. But when you release the craving,
Here's how to sell books on Amazon using AI in 4 steps.
tension, you enter a state of magnetic allowing. To shift from craving to receiving, practice this ancient ritual of release. Each evening, sit in silence and bring to mind your deepest desires. Feel them fully. Allow yourself to experience the wanting. Then, imagine gathering all these desires into a glowing sphere of light in your heart. Watch as this sphere grows brighter with each breath. Now, visualize opening your heart and releasing this sphere into the universe, trusting that what is meant for you will return in perfect timing. As you practice this release, notice how your relationship with desire transforms. Like Herbert, you may find that the very things you once chased begin chasing you instead. This is not coincidence, but the natural operation of universal law. When you release the grip of craving, you create space for receiving. Chapter 9, Effort is the Barrier. In the quiet dawn before a championship match, Joseph stood trembling on the field. For years he had pushed himself beyond limits, training until exhaustion, analyzing every movement. Yet despite his relentless effort, victory remained elusive. His muscles were tight with anxiety, his mind clouded with doubt. You too may recognize this pattern, the belief that success demands constant striving. Yet within the ancient scrolls lies a different truth. Mastery emerges not from force, but from surrender to the natural flow of life. When Joseph finally understood this wisdom, his performance transformed. Instead of forcing each motion, he allowed his body's innate intelligence to guide him. Rather than overthinking each move, he trusted the wisdom accumulated through years of practice. In this state of allowing, his movements became fluid, effortless, precise. The universe operates through this paradox. The more you surrender to its flow, the more powerfully it moves through you. Like water finding its natural course, success flows most freely when you cease resisting it. This truth echoes through every spiritual tradition. The Tao Te Ching speaks of Wei Wu Wei, doing by not doing. The Bhagavad Gita teaches karma yoga, action without attachment to results. Even modern sports psychology confirms that peak performance occurs in states of relaxed awareness, not forced effort. Joseph discovered that victory came not from trying harder, but from trying less. By releasing the need to control every aspect of his performance, he accessed a deeper intelligence, one that knew exactly how to move, when to strike, where to position himself. To access this state of effortless mastery, practice this flow state meditation. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Breathe naturally, allowing each breath to flow without effort. Notice how your body breathes itself, no forcing needed. Extend this awareness of effortlessness to your whole being. Feel the subtle energy flowing through you, requiring no effort on your part. Simply observe this flow for several minutes, letting go of any urge to control or direct it. When you open your eyes, carry this awareness of effortless being into your activities. This practice reveals the truth. You are not the doer, but the vessel through which universal intelligence flows. When you align with this flow, everything becomes effortless. Not because you have stopped acting, but because you have stopped interfering. Like water finding its natural course down a mountainside, or a leaf carried gracefully by the wind, you become one with the divine current of life. Your actions arise spontaneously from a deeper wisdom, guided by the same intelligence that orchestrates the dance of planets and the blooming of flowers. In this state of surrender, you discover that true power comes not from forcing your will upon the world, but from allowing yourself to be moved by the infinite wisdom that exists within and around you. Chapter 10. The First Step to Freedom.
Hey friends.
A merchant named Liang carried the weight of his entire fortune, gold, jewels, and precious silks, across a narrow bridge. The wooden planks creaked beneath his feet as a fierce wind howled through the canyon below. With each step, his grip tightened on his treasures, his knuckles white with fear of losing everything. You, like Liang, may clutch tightly to what you value most. Yet in this moment, you stand at the threshold of a powerful truth, one that has transformed lives throughout the ages. As Liang inched forward, the wind grew stronger. His possessions, now a burden, made each step treacherous. Then came the teaching that would change his life forever. A wise woman appeared at the other end of the bridge and spoke, "Only by opening your hands can you save yourself." In that moment, Liang faced the ultimate choice: hold on and risk everything, or surrender and discover a greater power. When he finally released his grip, allowing his treasures to scatter to the wind, something miraculous occurred. His body lightened, his movement became sure, and he crossed safely to the other side. There, to his amazement, he found all his possessions had been carried by the wind to safety, arranged perfectly on the other shore. This ancient wisdom reveals the paradox of true power. Surrender is not defeat. It is the gateway to mastery. When you release your desperate grip on outcomes, you align with the infinite intelligence of the universe. This force, far greater than individual will, can orchestrate possibilities beyond your imagination. The universe operates through trust, not control. Like water flowing around obstacles, it finds perfect pathways when unobstructed by fear. Your role is not to force, but to allow, not to direct, but to align. A wandering monk named Kai discovered this truth when he found himself lost in a vast desert. For days he fought against the harsh environment, desperately trying to find his way. Only when he surrendered to the desert's guidance did he notice the subtle signs, the direction of the wind, the patterns of the stars, the movement of small creatures, leading him to an oasis. Now embrace this radical surrender practice. Stand in an open space with your arms raised, palms facing the sky. Close your eyes and imagine everything you've been struggling to control or achieve. Feel the weight of these desires, these fears, these attachments. Then slowly begin to release them, one by one, into the infinite space above you. Let your hands gradually open, allowing each concern to float away like leaves on the wind. Feel the lightness that comes with each release. Stay in this pose of complete surrender until you experience a profound shift in your energy, from grasping to receiving, from forcing to allowing. This practice may stir fear. The ego resists surrender. But remember, true power awaits on the other side of letting go. Just as Liang discovered abundance through release, and Kai found direction through surrender, you too will discover that what you seek has been seeking you all along. Part 2, Mastering the Backwards Law, Using the Law to Unlock Unlimited Manifestation and Power. Chapter 11, Effortless Manifestation. In the quiet hours before dawn, Walter sat at his desk, surrounded by rejection letters. Each no felt like a physical weight, crushing his dreams beneath their collective burden. For 15 years, he had pursued publication with the desperate intensity of a man chasing a mirage. His novel, rewritten countless times to please imagined critics, had become a hollow shell of his original vision. You too may recognize this pattern, the exhausting pursuit of external validation that drains the very essence from your creations. Yet within this struggle lies a sacred truth, one that has guided masters throughout the ages. When Walter finally surrendered, something extraordinary occurred. He set aside his manuscript and began writing purely for the joy of it, penning stories that made his heart sing. No thoughts of publishers or critics clouded his mind. In this state of pure creation, his words flowed like a clear stream, untainted by doubt or desire. Within months, these writings, born of freedom rather than force, attracted a publisher who recognized their authentic power. This mirrors the universal principle of effortless creation. The ancient mystics understood that all manifestation begins in the unseen realm of energy. Modern quantum physics now confirms what sages have always known: observation shapes reality. When you create from a place of alignment rather than effort, you tap into the same force that brings flowers from seeds and stars from stardust. Lillian's journey reflects this wisdom. For years, she crafted perfect resumes and networked tirelessly, chasing her dream position. Yet success remained elusive until she made a radical shift. Instead of hunting for opportunities, she began living as though her ideal work was already present. She decorated her home office as she envisioned it, scheduled her days as she desired them to be, and carried herself with the confidence of someone already living her dream. Within weeks, an unexpected connection led to the exact position she had imagined. The manifestation surrender practice invites you to enter this state of aligned creation. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and allow your desired reality to arise naturally in your mind. Unlike traditional visualization, you're not trying to force or control the images. Instead, let them emerge as if watching a movie unfold. Feel the natural pleasure of these visions without...
Here at Mrs. Demeanor, we know how stressful.
Notice how your body relaxes when you release the need to make anything happen. If thoughts of how or when arise, simply observe them floating past like clouds. Your role is not to direct the universe, but to align with its infinite creative power. Just as Walter discovered his authentic voice through surrender, and Lillian manifested her dream through being rather than seeking, you too will find that creation flows naturally when you step out of its way. Chapter 12, Why Faith Trumps Force. The bustling marketplace of the city, Alfred gripped his briefcase like a shield, his knuckles white with determination. Each morning he armed himself with scripts, statistics, and strategies, weapons in his endless battle to close deals. Yet despite his relentless efforts, success remained as elusive as morning mist. Through your own struggles, you may recognize this familiar pattern of forcing your way forward, believing that sheer will can bend reality to your desires. But the universe holds a gentler truth. One afternoon, Alfred observed his competitor Thomas in a meeting. Where Alfred would have launched into carefully rehearsed presentations, Thomas simply listened, smiled, and spoke with quiet certainty. Deals seemed to materialize around him like flowers blooming in spring. His secret, an unshakable knowing that each interaction would unfold perfectly. This mirrors an eternal truth. Belief shapes reality more powerfully than any action. Ancient texts speak of faith moving mountains, while modern neuroscience reveals how our beliefs literally reshape our neural pathways. When you truly believe in an outcome, your energy shifts from forcing to allowing, opening channels through which abundance naturally flows. Florence's healing journey illuminates this principle. After years of battling illness through endless treatments and desperate measures, she discovered a different path. Instead of fighting her body, she began to trust in its infinite wisdom. Each morning she would rest her hands on her heart, and feel the divine intelligence flowing through her cells. She stopped seeking cures and started believing in her body's natural ability to restore balance. Within months, her doctors watched in amazement as her condition reversed, not through struggle, but through surrender to her body's innate healing power. To activate this same power of faith within yourself, find a quiet space and settle into a comfortable position. Close your eyes and bring to mind something you've been trying to force into existence. Feel the tension this struggle has created in your body. Now imagine releasing this effort completely, like setting down a heavy burden you've carried for too long. Let your breath deepen as you shift into a state of absolute trust. Feel the relief of knowing that what you seek is already making its way to you. There is nothing to prove, nothing to push, nothing to make happen. The universe's intelligence far exceeds your plans and strategies. Remain in this state of deep trust for several minutes, allowing any doubts or fears to float past like clouds. When thoughts of how or when arise, simply return to this feeling of complete faith. Practice this surrender daily and watch as life begins responding not to your efforts, but to your trust. Chapter 13. Trusting the Universe. In a modest study lined with meticulously organized calendars and plans, Thomas spent his days attempting to orchestrate every moment of his future. His desk drawers overflowed with backup plans for backup plans, each scenario mapped out in exhaustive detail. Yet life seemed to take perverse pleasure in unraveling his carefully woven designs. You too may recognize this pattern within yourself, the endless calculations, the constant preparation for every possibility, the illusion that through perfect planning you can control the uncontrollable. But wisdom whispers in a different way. Through the ages, the greatest minds have understood that certainty dwells in the heart of uncertainty. Einstein spoke of the mystery that stands at the cradle of true science. The Buddha taught that peace comes not from securing the future, but from releasing our grip on what must be. These weren't mere philosophical musings, but profound insights into the nature of reality itself. When Thomas finally exhausted himself with planning, something extraordinary happened. In his surrender, he discovered a deeper current carrying him forward, one far more intelligent than his careful strategies. Life began flowing with an ease he had never known, bringing opportunities he could never have planned for. This mirrors the journey of Evelyn, who spent years crafting the perfect conditions for love. She had lists of qualities her ideal partner must possess, carefully curated dating profiles, and structured approaches to every interaction. Yet true connection eluded her until the day she set aside her requirements and trusted in life's timing. One evening, after canceling yet another carefully planned date, Evelyn walked into a neighborhood cafe with no agenda. There, in the simple act of being present, she met someone who defied all her carefully constructed criteria, yet opened her heart in ways her plans never could. Their connection flourished not because it fit a predetermined pattern, but because she allowed it to unfold naturally. To embrace this wisdom in your own life, set aside one full day for a practice in radical trust. Begin your morning by declaring it a planning-free day. Let go of your schedules, expectations, and need for control. Move through each moment responding only to what is directly before you. When the urge to plan or control arises, and it will, simply observe it without acting upon it. Feel the discomfort of not knowing, and stay present with that sensation. Notice how life continues to flow even without your careful orchestration. As you navigate this day of trust, watch how solutions appear naturally, how connections form effortlessly, and how wisdom emerges from simply being present. This practice isn't about abandoning responsibility. It's about accessing a deeper intelligence that operates beyond your limited perspectives and plans. Chapter 14, The Stillness That Speaks. In the bustling heart of the city, Benjamin sat surrounded by spreadsheets, market analyses, and business plans. His mind raced with endless calculations as he attempted to force clarity from chaos. Each decision felt like a mountain to climb, each choice a maze without exit. The more he analyzed, the more paralyzed he became. You may recognize this pattern in your own life, the endless mental churning, the belief that if you think hard enough, the right answer will emerge. Yet the universe holds a different truth. Within the depths of silence lies a wisdom that surpasses all intellectual effort. This knowing emerges not from the noise of thought, but from the quiet spaces between thoughts. The ancient Zen masters understood this when they spoke of Mushin, the mind like still water that reflects reality perfectly. Modern neuroscience now confirms what these sages knew. When the brain enters states of deep quiet, solutions arise spontaneously from deeper levels of consciousness. Benjamin discovered that and forced him to stop. One morning, instead of diving into his usual analysis, he simply sat in silence. In that space of surrender, clarity emerged effortlessly, not as thoughts, but as a knowing that transcended thinking. This mirrors the journey of Marion, whose artistic inspiration had dried up beneath the weight of forced creativity. She spent countless hours staring at blank canvases, willing her masterpiece into existence, yet her greatest works emerged only when she released the need to create. One evening, after abandoning her usual routine of scheduled creativity, Marion simply sat with her materials without agenda. In that space of pure presence, images began flowing through her naturally, leading to a series of paintings that touched hearts in ways her calculated efforts never could. The practice, the stillness immersion. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Sit comfortably and allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. For 10 minutes, release all effort to figure things out. Let thoughts come and go without following them. Simply rest in the silence that exists beneath your thinking mind. Notice how answers often arise not from mental strain, but from this space of deep stillness, like a clear pond that reveals hidden treasures only when its waters are undisturbed. Your mind opens to divine wisdom in moments of pure quietude. Trust that wisdom flows naturally when you step out of its way, just as a river finds its course without force or resistance. In this practice lies the key to accessing the infinite intelligence that already exists within you, an ancient knowing that has guided seekers throughout the ages. When you release the need to grasp at understanding, universal truth gently emerges from the depths of your being. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 15, The Wu Wei Principle. In the ancient halls of a temple, Edgar stood frozen, his muscles tense with effort. Years of training had brought him to this moment, yet the more he tried to perfect his movements, the more rigid and ineffective they became. You see, like Edgar, you too may have fallen into the trap of believing that mastery requires force. The wisdom of Wu Wei, action through non-action, reveals a paradox at the heart of achievement. When you release the grip of trying, your natural power emerges. This is not passivity, but rather a state of such perfect alignment that action flows through you rather than from you. The great masters of old understood that true power comes not from forcing the river's flow, but from becoming the river itself. In your daily life, notice how strain creates resistance. When you grasp too tightly at outcomes, your very tension blocks the natural flow of energy. Yet when you release into the moment, allowing your actions to arise spontaneously, you tap into a deeper current of power. Consider Hattie, who spent years pushing her business forward through sheer force of will. Each day was a battle, each achievement won through exhausting effort. Until one day, she discovered the art of acting without acting. She began moving through her work with the same ease as breathing. No longer did she force meetings or chase clients. Instead, she allowed opportunities to unfold naturally, responding with graceful efficiency rather than stressed exertion. The results transformed her business, not through added effort, but through its release. Clients were drawn to her natural confidence, deals flowed effortlessly, and success arrived without strain. The practice: effortless action. Choose 3 everyday activities, perhaps making tea, walking, or writing. As you perform each task, release all sense of trying or forcing. Let your movements arise naturally, as if they're happening on their own. Notice how your body knows exactly what to do when you step out of its way. Feel the difference between forced action and allowed action. When tension arises, simply observe it and let it dissolve naturally, like morning mist evaporating in the warm sunlight. Allow each movement to flow from a place of ease rather than effort, trusting in the inherent wisdom of your being. Notice how your actions become more graceful, more precise when you release the grip of conscious control. This is the beginning of Wu Wei, the art of effortless action that contains more power than any forced movement could achieve. Like water finding its path down a mountain, your actions become both gentle and unstoppable when you align with their natural flow. In this state of allowance, you accomplish more while doing less, accessing an ancient power that has guided masters throughout the ages. Chapter 16: The Counterintuitive Path to Wealth and Love. In the bustling heart of a city, Frank surrounded himself with wealth-building books, seminars, and strategies. His shelves groaned under the weight of financial wisdom, yet his bank account remained stubbornly empty. Each morning he would study new techniques, desperately seeking the secret formula that would unlock abundance. But the universe held a different lesson in store. You see, the very act of pursuing wealth creates a subtle energy of lack. When you chase money, you broadcast to the universe that you don't have it, and the universe, in its infinite wisdom, reflects that belief back to you. This is the hidden mechanism behind all attraction. Your state of being, not your actions, determines what flows into your life. Frank's transformation began the day he realized that all his seeking stemmed from a deep sense of unworthiness. In that moment of truth, he stopped running.
Most drivers don't know that they can buy out their lease because it's not really.
Instead chose to embody the energy of abundance. He began moving through life as though prosperity already filled every corner of his existence. His shoulders relaxed, his breath deepened, and a natural confidence emerged, not from having money, but from knowing his inherent worth. Within weeks, opportunities appeared effortlessly. Clients sought him out, investments aligned perfectly, and resources flowed naturally into his life. He had discovered what the ancient mystics knew. Abundance is not something you chase, but something you become. Rose's story mirrors this truth in matters of the heart. After years of searching for love, she discovered that her constant seeking pushed potential partners away. The moment she began radiating self-worth, treating herself with the love she sought from others, everything changed. She stopped attending dating events or scanning rooms for potential matches. Instead, she lived fully in her own joy, and love found her naturally drawn to the light of her self-contained wholeness. The practice embodying your desires. For the next 7 days, you will practice being rather than seeking. Choose one area of life where you've been chasing results, whether wealth, love, or success. Each morning, take 3 deep breaths and allow yourself to shift into the energy of already having what you desire. Move through your day as though abundance already fills your life. Walk as though success already. Speak as though love already surrounds you. Notice how this shift in your energy affects the way others respond to you, how opportunities appear, and how your reality begins to align with your new way of being. This is not pretending or forcing. It is allowing yourself to resonate with the frequency of what you desire. Like passivity, but rather a state of such perfect alignment that action flows through you rather than from you. The great masters of old understood that true power comes not from forcing the river's flow, but from becoming the river itself. In your daily life, notice how strain creates resistance. When you grasp too tightly at outcomes, your very tension blocks the natural flow of energy. Yet when you release into the moment, allowing your actions to arise spontaneously, you tap into a deeper current of power. Consider Hattie, who spent years pushing her business forward through sheer force of will. Each day was a battle, each achievement won through exhausting effort. Until one day, she discovered the art of acting without acting. She began moving through her work with the same ease as breathing. No longer did she force meetings or chase clients. Instead, she allowed opportunities to unfold naturally, responding with graceful efficiency rather than stressed exertion. The results transformed her business, not through added effort, but through its release. Clients were drawn to her natural confidence, deals flowed effortlessly, and success arrived without strain. 3 everyday activities, perhaps making tea, walking, or writing. As you perform each task, release all sense of trying or forcing.